I was thinking about this, the promise, which hovers over the entire rest of the Bible, including the New Testament. It's the context in which the New Testament story exists, and the history of the redemption of the people of God continues. And we were talking about it last week. It's that last phrase that God kind of throws in, not quite as an afterthought, but it can seem that way. In you, all the families of the earth will be blessed. The reason it can seem like an afterthought is because it gets no airtime in the Old Testament. It is spoken to Abraham and Isaac and Jacob in 28. And after this, as a theme of the Old Testament story, the story of Israel, it will disappear.
Wasn't there one with Ishmael too? Some kind of blessing or some sort?
Oh, he's going to bless. Yeah, he's going to bless Ishmael and his offspring. But the point here is that through this promise that's being passed down, all the nations of the earth will be blessed. The blessing on Abraham is going to be extended and universal. It's going to be universalized without any reference to how, when, none of that is there. It's just this vague statement, like the statement to the serpent at the curse. He will bruise you, you will bruise him on the heel, he will bruise you on the head. And then that's it. You don't get anything more, leaving everyone to speculate on all kinds of things. But then the New Testament opens up, and the centrality of this afterthought, last phrase, it can be in the last position because it's the least important, or it can be in the last position because it's the most important. So it's interesting that it sits here. It's going to be of least importance in the story of Israel. And then it's going to be of most importance in the story of the gospel. And so I was thinking about Paul's use of the phrase, let me get rid of this meeting controls. Paul's use of the phrase, we'll get back to that in a minute. I forgot, is this Ephesians, which Ephesians chapter 3? Look at this. For this reason, I, Paul, a prisoner of Christ Jesus, on behalf of you Gentiles, there's no question about where Paul's mind is, assuming that you have heard of the stewardship of God's grace that was given to me for you, how the mystery was made known to me by revelation, as I have written briefly before. When you read this, you can perceive my insight into the mystery of Christ, which was not made known to the sons of men in other generations, as it has now been revealed to his holy apostles and prophets by the Spirit. Stop right there, stop reading. Don't read, Luke or Doug, stop reading. What's the mystery that is now revealed in the holy apostles and prophets?
You got it.
What is what?
The Gentiles. Everyone could be saved. Christ died for all, not just Jews.
Which is the gospel. It's not just that the gospel is not simply the idea of salvation by faith. The point of by faith is not by Moses. It's not just for Jews. That's the point of by faith. And so by faith means the doors of the covenant with Abraham have been flung open so that the Gentiles can stream in through faith rather than through circumcision by pledging allegiance to Moses and becoming second-class citizens behind the Jews among the people of God, which is what they were at the time of Jesus. There is neither Jew nor Greek, slave nor free, male nor female, but you are one united people of God existing on an equal footing in Christ. That's the point. So gospel, just expand your idea. I'm not saying you don't. You were absolutely right, but expand your understanding of the gospel to include explicitly God's embrace of the Gentiles, which had never happened before in the history of redemption. That's the point of Christ. He is the Messiah, as Peter says, for the nations. And not just, was it Peter who said that? And not just for the Jews. And so you get, keep going here now. It has now been revealed to his holy apostles and prophets by the Spirit. Through supernatural revelation, we know this. Nobody was going to infer it from the Gospels themselves, from the story of Jesus. Nobody was going to infer that. That was supernatural revelation. This mystery is that the Gentiles are fellow heirs, not second-class citizens through by becoming proselytes, but fellow heirs and members of the same body and partakers of the promise. What promise? In Christ Jesus through the gospel. Of this gospel, the gospel of Gentile inclusion, I was made a minister according to the gift of God's grace. He is the apostle. He is God's ambassador to the Gentiles, bringing them the gospel of faith.
Which comes back to the blessing for all nations.
So we're back to this promise right here, to Mike's point. The promise right there. The promise is in Christ. How could they ever even understand the promise? It turns out that the promise was fulfilled. The promise made to Abraham, assuming that this is what he's talking about. The promise that was made to Abraham wasn't finally realized and fulfilled until Christ came. He is the fulfillment of the promise, because through him, all the nations of the earth were blessed by now being able to participate in the promises that God made to Abraham, to be among the people of God. So it's this grand scope of the story of the Bible weaves through all these books. There's how many authors? Nobody knows. There's an unknown number of authors of the books of Revelation here that we have collected as 66. Even within a book, we don't know really how many authors there are in a book, of a book.
Especially the historical books like the Kings and the Samuel.
For Samuel, that's the book of the Chronicles. Well, that implies they didn't just compile it at one moment. It's an archive that continually gets added to. So we just simply don't know. But that archive, now these books come together, fuse together, and tell one unifying story of God's redemptive acts that ultimately reach their fulfillment in Christ, who extends the domain of the people, the scope of the people of God to all nations. It's an unbelievable thing, but that's the mystery. And we only know about it because God revealed it to people, men like Paul. Didn't have any choice but to know it. I mean, it's one of the great ironies of the history of redemption that a man who was so fanatically Jewish and dedicated to Moses in such a fanatical way, by his own admission, would be the one who was chosen to be the apostle to carry the promise made to Abraham to all nations.
You would term another great reversal.
The great reversal. That the man, you've heard me say it before, but that the man who set out from Jerusalem to go to Damascus to destroy the gospel ended up preaching it when he got there. And he was rescued by the people he went to destroy from the people he was expecting help from.
You know, it's interesting when you think about it, because many times throughout the Old Testament history, God used somebody who was not part of the government, somebody who was an enemy of God to do his bidding. Now God takes somebody who is an enemy and converts him in such a unique way. But there's no doubt that God had prepared Paul specifically for this ministry, it couldn't be the ministry of Peter. He didn't have the relationships with those outside, because Paul himself was not from Israel, he was from Tarsus, Turkey. And yet, he was raised or trained in Jerusalem. And, none of the other apostles were as radically Jewish as he was. And here he is, the one to be the apostle to the
Exactly.
Gentiles. It's just,
He, in his words, Galatians 2, when he, to that point, think about his new understanding of his own life. When he who set me apart from my mother's womb was pleased to reveal his son in me. It sounds so much like John the Baptist, who was set apart from the womb. The difference is John the Baptist, probably from the very start, Nazarite, probably, very aware. Paul had no idea what he said was set. He thought he was set apart for one thing. It turns out, not only was he not set apart for that, he was actually set apart for precisely the opposite.
there's maybe some strong correlations between Paul and Jeremiah. Weeping prophet, often both going through a lot of persecution, both being set apart from the womb. I hadn't thought about that until you just mentioned that. You know, there's another thing that Paul says in Galatians, about the fact that we who are believers in Jesus Christ are sons of Abraham. So our blessing is because in Christ we are in Israel. For one.
He specifically in Galatians 4, I think. 4? No,
3 or 4, one of those.
we are Romans 4 too. We are Abraham's offspring, heirs according to the promise.
Yeah.
He makes it even more explicit. His understanding of the redemptive plan of God is,
Yes.
yes,
Yes.
his understanding of the redemptive plan of God is unparalleled in human history. I don't think anybody other than Jesus himself understood the redemptive plan of God like Paul did. And it was not because he wanted it. He was compelled. He was going to Damascus to destroy that thing. And he was persuaded to do otherwise. Then there's James. This is in the little fight in Acts 15. Are we going to make the Gentiles get circumcised? This is a great moment, and one of the great moments in the history of redemption. This is decision time right here. When they went to Antioch, the Jews from Jerusalem, unless they are circumcised according to the custom of Moses, they cannot be saved. You got to make them Jews before you can make them, before they can come into the people of God, just like they always have. So they had this fight up in Jerusalem. James settles it after Simeon. After Simon, Simeon, Cephas, Peter. He's got like 4 different names in the Gospels. Simon has related how God first visited the Gentiles to take from them a people for his name. There it is, just said in the most Jewish of ways, but understanding. With this, the words of the prophets agree. After this, I will return and I will rebuild the tent of David that has fallen. I will rebuild its ruins and I will restore it, that the remnant of mankind, or the rest of mankind, the non-Jewish side, may seek the Lord, and all the Gentiles who are called by my name, says the Lord, who makes these things. Calling a people to himself from among the Gentiles. Amazing story. Starts right here. Genesis chapter 12. With a promise that Abraham absolutely could not possibly have understood, nor did he need to. Okay. Oh boy. I listened to the feed this morning, but I don't remember where I finished. Did I finish that?
We're supposed to be done with chapter 28, weren't we?
28, no. Were we?
We talked about his dream.
Oh, yeah. 29. Yeah, okay, sorry. All right, yeah, we talked about his understanding of deity and so forth. I got a chapter off here. At the end there, where God announces himself as Jacob's God, and Jacob says, okay, this is what I'm going to do. It's this weird moment in his understanding of deity. He's on his way to Haran, whatever that means exactly, which is up here. which is the ancestral home for Abraham. That's where he came from. Now, Jacob is going to trek back this black line, and he's going to end up back up here to seek a wife. He's going to get more than he bargained for from Rebecca's family. Rebecca has a brother named Laban, whom we've already encountered, and we already have reason to suspect his motives, if you will. This whole family is interesting, shall we say. By the way, before we do that, all right, so Mike's been after me for a couple weeks. So there they are. There's Lot, the Moabites and the Ammonites.
Poor Lot, that's right. He's really getting the bomb.
Oh. You've been dealt with well already, though. Better than he deserves.
Let me close. Let me close my Word docs. You have to see my reckless notes. Okay. 29. Jacob continues on his journey to the northeast. Although they call it to the people of the east, so I'm not sure what that means. Jacob went on his journey and came to the land of the people of the east. That's all he calls it. And as he looked, he saw a well in the field. Uh-oh, we're back to wells again. Who else was at a well up there to the east?
Abraham.
Abraham's servant. What was his name?
We don't know, Eliezer maybe?
We don't know. Maybe. I wonder what Eliezer thought about the promise being inheritance being passed down to Isaac, since he apparently was the heir the designated heir at that point.
Well, if Eliezer is the servant that went to find Isaac a wife, I think he rejoiced.
Oh, he did. He clearly did. He does so in the, yeah.
If that's it.
He was fully on board. Whoever that was fully on board with the plan of God. Yeah, he rejoiced in it.
But we just don't know for sure that that's him. The one,
Everybody in that scene was on the same page
yes.
and moving in the same direction. That's going to change. And behold, 3 flocks of sheep lying beside it. So we got a well and some sheep. For out of that well, the flocks were watered. The stone on the well's mouth was large, and when all the flocks were gathered there, the shepherds would roll the stone from the mouth of the well, I suppose because you only want to have to do it once, and water the sheep, put the stone back in its place over the mouth of the well. So they're waiting for more, they're waiting for more flocks, I guess. How far am I going here? Jacob said to them, my brothers, literally, hopefully, that's what he's thinking. Where do you come from? And they said, we are from Haran. What a coincidence. And he said to them, do you know Laban, the son of Nahor? And they said, we know him. And he said, is it well with him? And they said, it is well. And behold, Rachel, his daughter, is coming with the sheep right over there. And Jacob says, behold, it is still high day. It is not time for the livestock to be gathered together. Water the sheep and go pasture them. But they said, we cannot until all the flocks are gathered together and the stone is rolled from the mouth of the well. Then we water the sheep. So what is he saying here? Hey, you got all these sheep laying around in the middle of the day. You should take care of that. That's not good because he's also a shepherd.
He's a shepherd.
So he says, you need to water your sheep. So, they said, well, we don't want to wait a little while till we got another group coming.
He's bucking tradition is what he's doing.
And that other group is right there. It's Laban's group. While he was still speaking with them, Rachel came with her father's sheep. That's Laban, for she was a shepherdess. What a coincidence. Now, as soon as Jacob saw Rachel, the daughter of Laban, his mother's brother, let's just take a look. Whoops, what was that? Wonder what I just hit. Right here. Let's just take a look. Mother's brother. It's another in there. It's in there a third time somewhere.
Been a little bit.
How come it didn't come up?
You have the comma.
Oh. Okay, well, you get the point. Let's keep it up. There it is. Mother's brother. And the sheep of Laban, his mother's brother. Jacob came near and rolled the stone from the well's mouth and watered the flock of Laban, his mother's brother. What's the point? We know who Laban is. What's the point? Why keep belaboring the issue with this repetition?
Partly because that was his goal, was to go find a wife from, his mother's brother's daughters.
Is it 28? You must not take a wife from the Canaanite women. Arise, go to Paddan Aram to the house of Bethuel, your mother's father, and take as your wife from there one of the daughters of Laban, your mother's brother. Very, very specific. Go find Laban. That's one of his daughters is going to be your wife. So three times. So the point being fulfillment. It's just exactly like the story of Isaac's servant going there. By this point, you already, okay, fulfillment.
How many daughters did Laban have?
We only know the two,
Yeah. But he had sons too.
almost surely. yeah.
He did, but I don't think those sons are ever named, are they?
Yeah,
I
they're
wonder
not
why
here.
they weren't shepherds. Why did they?
Could be two. Also, where's Bethuel? He's never,
Was Laban's dad.
he never speaks. He never makes an appearance except this
Virginia.
vague reference to, yeah. Then Jacob kissed Rachel and wept aloud, exactly like the servant did when he found Rebekah. So the servant, Abraham's servant goes up there immediately at a well. Rebekah's right there. That's where has the weird ritual of putting a ring on her nose. Here we are. Jacob arrives. Rachel's right there. He does the favor of not putting a ring on her nose, but he kisses her. I don't know what she thought of that at this point.
It's probably on the cheeks, I'm guessing.
Wept aloud. We don't even know what that really means as far as the ritual goes. Jacob told Rachel that he was her father's kinsman and that he was Rebekah's son. And she ran and told her father. So that's the setup.
I think it's pretty interesting, when Abraham's, son of servants met Rebecca, instead of saying, come with me, they run away until and the same thing here. So basically, everybody has to stay at the well while they run and tell their family, so their family can come and say, hey, come to my place, instead of just saying, follow me.
Well, that's what's interesting too.
It's like, well, I'm so excited, I gotta go do this first before I invite them to my house, my tent.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, it reminds me of the story in John with Jesus at the well. The Samaritan woman is at the well. They have their encounter. She runs away
Right,
to tell everyone, but doesn't take him
right.
with her.
Yeah.
I see stuff like that and I just think of I don't know how, but I think always the word fulfillment comes to mind. But the Bible, I've said it before, many, it's not original to me. But these cycles, these repeating cycles of promise, anticipation, fulfillment, rolling through the Bible over and over and over again. And I don't know how many of these cycles we are on right now, but here it is again. And I don't have, we got Jacob ordering the shepherds around. He doesn't like the way they're doing their business. This shepherd doesn't like the way they're doing it. So he's trying to straighten them out or something. I don't know. And that's it. It's just, you don't get past verse 12 without already knowing. Well, you think it's going to turn out like the Rebekah story. Oh, this is great. It's gonna be exactly like the Rebekah story. Jacob's already met Rachel. They're going to go back. They're going to make an arrangement. Laban's going to say to Rachel, do you wish to go with this man? Rachel will say, I will go. And then Jacob will give him gifts, and then Rachel and Jacob will go back to Canaan and live happily ever after. Hmm,
Well,
He can't go back because his brother wants to kill him.
well, that's a good point. He's got to hang around a while.
You know, there's, the story is almost reflected in Moses. Because again, that was at the
That's another
well,
one.
and Moses'
That-
wife, if I recall correctly, was the shepherdess there too.
Yeah, what was her name? Zipporah. Zipporah, yeah. She's the one who, you have the hero Moses just meets God and so forth, and then God wants to kill Moses, the hero. And so she circumcises the son or the sons or which. It's really graphic, throws the foreskins away and calls him what is he, a husband of blood or something.
You're a
This how we treat our heroes in the Bible? No sooner do they get anointed heroes that, this kind of thing happens. It's a wife saying, fix your stuff and get with the plan.
But, the best of my memory, of course, my memory is selective. Those are the only two instances where I ever remember females being the shepherds.
Which two instances? Rachel?
But both this one here in Genesis 29, and then with Moses meeting Zipporah in Exodus chapter, 2, 3? 2?
3 or 4. He doesn't get to the bush until 3.
But what's interesting too is, all these, they waited for all the shepherds to get there so they can roll all the shepherds can roll away the stone, saying it's too heavy for one person to roll the stone away, but all of a sudden Jacob has the strength to roll the stone away all by himself.
Or he's figured out the magnificent technology of leverage. So he goes and gathers the tools necessary to get leverage and he takes care of it, leaving all the shepherds to go wonder, why didn't we think of that? Yeah, let's do that from now on. I don't know. I have no idea, but that's the story. So yeah, that's, I don't have anything more to say about that. This, by the time you're done with the setup, you're led to believe this is gonna be nice and neat and clean, like the Rebecca story. But back to Sharon's point, he's got to hang around a while. The question is, how is he gonna do so? And why, what's gonna happen? Is he going up there thinking, okay, I'm gonna find a wife and we're gonna stay he's gonna be willing to stay 7 years. We'll find out shortly. Is that because he's thinking, okay, 7 years is about right. I'll stay up here for 7 years and then I'll go back, and by then,
Isn't it because he showed up without stuff? Like the last time this happened, he showed up with gold rings and.
Yeah, that's a good point.
And this guy just showed up after he ran away from home.
yeah, that's a good point. He didn't have anything.
He's only got his name.
So he needs money.
He's broke.
He broke, yeah. Yeah, he's everything that a late 3rd century shepherdess from Paddan Aram would want in a man. A guy walking in from the desert.
He just bossed a bunch of strangers around and kissed another stranger. I feel like everybody would be a little weirded out.
He is broke in the sense of liquid assets,
Yeah,
but he has a big bank account. Because he's got the inheritance,
yeah, if they trust him.
And in his mind, if he ever actually gets back.
My thought is the reason why he's willing for 7 years is because he wants Esau to have time to cool down.
That's right. That could be the reason. He's fine for 7 years. He will not be fine for
Not only
14.
that, but he was absolutely smitten with grace.
He was.
Like a beast, because they're waiting for her to help rule the rock.
Okay, it's gonna get ugly. I hope you enjoyed the nice part. Here comes Laban, who's full of compliments and puffery. 13 through 20. This is when all the women in the room are gonna start to squirm. This room. As soon as Laban heard the news about Jacob, his sister's son, here we are again, the other way around, He ran to meet him and embraced him, and he knows what? What does Laban know about this family? They got the stuff, right? He knows that. Embraced him and kissed him and brought him to his house. Jacob told Laban all these things. I don't know what all those things are. Laban said to him, surely you are bone of my bone and my flesh. And he stayed with him a month. It's not long enough. That's a foreshadowing. Yeah, about that month. Maybe that's what Jacob thought. I don't know what Jacob thought. Maybe he thought, okay, after a month, I can leave here, and I don't know. I have no idea what he thought. But was he planning on staying here for a long time, or just getting a wife here and doing something else? I don't know. Because he can hire himself out as a shepherd, probably, which is exactly what he's going to do. Then Laban said to Jacob, because you are my kinsman, should you therefore serve me for nothing? Tell me, what shall your wages be? What's this barter? And what's the motive? Because we're dealing with the master negotiator, if you will. Laban had two daughters. There we go. The narrator is going to intervene and put you in the mind of Laban a little bit here. Now, Laban had two daughters. The name of the older was Leah, and the name of the younger was Rachel. Okay, I'm just the messenger. Leah's eyes were weak, but Rachel was beautiful in form and appearance. So it's going to turn into a sad story.
So basically, Leah looked like a pig and.
I
I don't know, eyes, maybe she was, needed a pair of glasses. I don't know.
I would guess by the fact that he calls Rachel beautiful,
Uh-huh.
eyes were weak is a euphemism for not beautiful.
Like this, my cousin sent me this little thing on Facebook, the perfect marriage when you tell your wife some truth or no, she looks like a truck.
I don't have anything to say about any of these statements that are being made from the right side of the room over here. Jacob loved Rachel, and he said, I will serve you 7 years for your younger daughter, Rachel. Very specific, 7 years. Laban said, it is better that I give her to you than that I should give her to any other man. Stay with me. That's roughly what he said about Rebekah. It's a pragmatic calculation. Although he's got designs, he's got things in his mind. So Jacob served, this goes quick.
Yeah.
The narrative goes as quick as the 7 years did for Jacob. So Jacob served 7 years for Rachel, and they seemed to him but a few days because of the love he had for her.
So Jacob's the one that set the 7 year.
Yep.
course.
But of course, what is Laban doing? What is he hatching in his mind?
Free labor.
Well, I gotta get rid of the other daughter.
Well,
Yeah.
Well, I mean, he does, this is a big deal. He's being a single woman. That's the time. They want to do something.
Single ugly one.
Well, I'm not saying, again, the right side of the room, I have no comment on anything being said from the right side of the room right now. And I can't help but notice the silence from the left side of the room. Then Jacob, now here it comes. Then Jacob said to Laban, give me my wife that I may go into her, for my time is completed. I want to get married and I want to go. So Laban gathered together all the people of the place and made a feast. This is so scheming, conniving. It's got Jacob written all over it. But in the evening, he took his daughter Leah and brought her to Jacob, and he went into her. It's really graphic. Laban gave his female servant Zilpah to his daughter Leah to be her servant. Why do we care? We'll find out shortly. And in the morning, I don't know, they didn't have artificial light, right? It's not like there's no lamps. It's after, I don't know, I don't know.
We've been a little, we.
You know, they were partying, I don't know.
Well, did they, women
Well,
with
yeah,
veils on?
Yeah, Christ had a veil, and the bed, and.
And it's dark, and.
Yeah.
Like I said, wine will flow freely.
How you doing? And in the morning, how you doing back there, Dana and Maya?
The thing about when the dad's in the plan.
That's right. Well, she's already married, so Stacy's already married. You're up. And in the morning, behold, it was Leah, exclamation point, from Jacob's point of view. Jacob goes, what the? It's Leah. Jacob said to Laban, she's just there. It's really sad. She's just a pawn, you know, and the narrative, I think the narrative is doing that is creating that context on purpose
It's an important.
because of what's about to happen for Leah, on Leah's behalf. Jacob said to Laban, ironically coming from Jacob, what is this you have done to me? How does it feel, Jacob? You know, did I not serve with you for Rachel? Why then have you deceived me? Now just listen to the ice cold, stone cold, soulless response. Laban said, it is not so done in our country to give the younger before the firstborn. Complete the week of this one, and we will give you the other also in return for serving me another 7 years. Wow.
Dear mom, it's gonna be another 7 years, sorry.
In Laban, the master chess player, in his mind, everybody's a piece on the board. That's how I read Laban. Everybody's a piece on the board. So did he care about Leah? Really? Or did he just want the 7 years? Because he did real well off the first 7 years, as we'll
He
find
doesn't
out.
have to take care of Leah for the rest of her life, too.
You know,
Yeah, he may have thought that they stuck with her as what,
I don't know. I don't know. I'll tell you what, though. I've seen a lot of Christian families name their kid Jacob.
Yeah,
I never heard of a Christian family name their kid Laban.
no.
true. Now, of course, from hindsight, we know that Redeemer comes from Leah, not Rachel.
Exactly.
And so that's all, I mean, this is the work of
That's
God.
exactly right.
The work of God.
Yeah, Leah, in the history of redemption, Leah, in the divine plan, Leah stands tall.
And it was Rachel's children that really take the brunt of leading the nation into idolatry.
That's right. They'll be the 10, Benjamin and Joseph. So
Especially Joseph.
Joseph is going to be among the 10 northern tribes, and they're going to depart. Yeah.
Right, Ephraim's the one that led the way into idolatry.
And yet Joseph saved them in Egypt.
Yeah.
during the famine.
So the other thing is Leah will also produce Levi.
Yep.
So she produces the Levitical priesthood, which means Moses. She produces both Moses and the prophet like Moses, Jesus, but from two different sons. But then there's this story you got to get through here. So he gives the, what do you want to call it? The fait accompli, right? You want Rachel? Sure. 7 more years. Jacob did so, completed her week. Then Laban gave his daughter Rachel to be his wife. So now he's got 2 wives. Laban gave his female servant Bilhah to his daughter Rachel to be her servant. Why did we need to know that? Because we need to know that. So Jacob went into Rachel also. He loved Rachel more than Leah, to get sadder, and served Laban for another 7 years. Does anybody really think it's over after 7 years? No, now, remember when I said, let the chaos begin? You ain't seen nothing yet. This is unbelievable.
So Jacob's going Laban, Laban.
I don't know if this is true or not, but Schofield notes down at the bottom says that Jacob was 77 years old. On verse 2, when Isaac told him to go to Padan Abraham,
Yeah,
the Bethel.
that's what my Old Testament professor said, that he was probably about that age.
So he wasn't a young man in stricter time.
I mean, he's gonna live to 137, right?
Yeah,
147.
140, okay. What is a 77-year-old? What was Abraham when he was 90 if he's gonna live to 175? I don't know what that means.
Still pretty old. I mean, it's still, beyond the age of normal child.
Yeah, I don't know, but all the rules are different.
but I mean, when he was, so basically, when he went into this blessing to Isaac, he was an old, what we consider nowadays an old man. You
Yeah.
get this blessing, you
Yeah.
know, when you
I don't
read through this stuff, you think that he's still kind of a young, maybe in his
Yeah.
30s, 40s, not 70, in the 70s. So,
Do I have anything else on this?
I'm not sure how they figured that out, other than the fact that they go by the fact that Isaac was 60 before they were born, and,
yeah, he lived to be 170.
185.
Let's see. So just to summarize, Jacob goes to a distant land, like the servant, Abraham's servant. He stops at a well, like Abraham's servant. He meets a woman who is coming out to draw water, like the servant. He draws water for her. In the other story, the girl, Rebecca, draws water for the servant. Girl returns home to report what happened to her family, like the servant. Jacob goes to the family's house, like the servant. In this one, a marriage takes place. In that one, he takes Rebecca back. And now he's stuck. So that's about all I have for that section. We're going to finish this chapter off because it's kind of speaks for itself. The question is, why the detail? He really slows the narrative down. He passes over the 7 years in no time, but he really slows the narrative down for this whole story of what happens in Padan Aram to Jacob. Why the importance? What's the important part? Why is this so important?
Deals with the genealogy.
Exactly. You read my mind.
Oh, wow. We actually did like one.
Remember what we're talking about here. We're talking about the genealogy of the 12 tribes of Israel. And there won't be one daughter who produces 12 sons. One wife. There'll be 4 wives who produce 12 sons through hideous intrigue by everyone. It's just a free-for-all. It's unbelievable.
And when you realize that Moses is the author of this book at the time of the wilderness wanderings, you understand, get the idea that in case you've forgotten where we came from, here it is.
Here's where we came from. This is a book of origins. Genesis is the book of origins. So now we've reached the origin story for the 12 tribes of Israel. And if you've never heard this story before, you're thinking, oh, this is going to be great. We get to hear about the birth of the 12 tribes of Israel. This is going to be a magnificent story. And then you walk out of the story going, I'm embarrassed to be an Israelite.
Exactly. Especially if you're from Reuben. Oops.
Anyway, go ahead.
Well, you said Moses was writing it. Maybe he detailed this thing about the wells so much is because Zipporah was the same way. He met Zipporah at a well and drew water for her, and she went home and brought him.
It's just interesting that
It's like, okay.
wells even make an appearance in the New Testament. It's just,
There's gotta be something important to it, that I don't know if we've ever heard a good explanation of why, but there's gotta be something.
well, I mean, in John 4, when Jesus meets the woman at the well, he calls it Jacob's well.
Yeah.
I mean, basically that well is, I mean, most wells probably already run out their course. You're talking, couple thousand years, 3,000 years later, all of a sudden they're still using a well that Jacob, or they claim Jacob was the one that dug. So, and
I'm
there's, I mean, all the way through Genesis, wells are talked about constantly,
Yeah.
fighting over wells.
Yeah, it was literally life and death
Yeah.
for them. There's a link, there's a YouTube channel, by I think it's a Jewish Christian. It might be an Arabic Christian. They live in Israel. He's, I don't know what nationality, his name is Sergio. What is that?
It sounds Spanish or Italian.
No, it's more like Eastern European or something, I think. And then she's either Arabic or Jewish, but she's a citizen of Israel. So she'd be one of those Arab Israelis if she is, but they have a channel where they visit all these archaeological sites. And it's really, really good. I mean, it's remarkable, some of these sites that I never knew about, but I'll find the link and post it. They got a lot of good content. Let's finish this off. So we can get past this, we can get into it and get over with it as fast as possible. When the Lord saw that Leah was hated, he steps in, right? He's not going to leave this. Like with Samson's mother, what's her name? Hannah. He opened her womb. Samuel, excuse me, not Samson. Yeah. He opened her womb. He did for her the most important thing. Now in our grid, you know, we don't think like that, but in her situation, this was status and this recovers. So this is look at this. Sarah, Rebecca, Leah, Rachel. It's going to be this intervention because barrenness is going to dominate this. He controls through this. This is the principle through which he controls, or one of them. He opened her womb, but Rachel was barren. Leah conceived and bore a son, and she called his name Reuben, for she said, because the Lord, Yahweh, has looked upon my affliction, for now my husband will love me. And she conceived again and bore a son, and said, because the Lord has heard that I am hated, he has given me this son also. She called his name Simeon. Again she conceived and bore a son, and said, now this time my husband will be attached to me because I have borne him 3 sons. So apparently it hasn't happened yet. He's not getting over it. Therefore his name was called Levi. She conceived again and bore a son, and said, this time I will praise the Lord, Yahweh. Therefore she called his name Judah. And then she ceased bearing. So you don't get out of chapter 29 without finding out that the tribe of Levi, Moses lineage, and the tribe of Judah, David's and Jesus lineage, come from Leah. And it has to do with God intervening on her behalf, given this situation, which he allowed in the first place.
When it comes down to it, Leah bore almost half the tribes
Yep,
of Judah, so, or Israel. I mean.
yep.
She did bear half the tribes because she came back and had an open womb later.
It's not like Rachel did anything wrong.
No.
She's a victim too. She's just, you know, everybody's a pawn in this of Laban in this story. It's just the weirdest thing from the 21st century mindset. It's everything about it is repugnant in some fashion.
Well, it's repugnant to us that our fathers are gonna fix our marriages for us too. No.
Especially this way. Did she want to do this? She didn't have any choice. No, you're going to do this. All right. The mess will continue. You get envy right here at this top and so on. Give me children, I shall die, says Rachel.
The first time it brought back Sarah to mind. Sarah wasn't having children, so she gave Hagar.
Exactly.
You know.
Yeah, we'll get to the 2 concubines, or we'll get to the 2 servants here in a bit, but okay, that's the story. I'll stop now.
Well, it's interesting also, up to this point, the wives have all been in the family. Sarah was a half sister. Rebecca and Rachel were cousins. You know, there's been something about that. I've never fully grasped what that something is.
It's purity of it's the purity of the children of promise. Physically, anyway, not, not morally, that's for sure.
Back to the beginning,
Yeah,
right, because, you know, how did Abraham or Adam and Eve
right.
multiply? Well, their sons married their sisters, and they just.
Yeah.
Continue to multiply that way, so.
All right, we're gonna stop now. So thanks for joining.